All right, boys and girls, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Today we are finishing up our book report slides. So, first I'm going to go over slide 9, and then I'm also just going to review this things to remember and the book report rubric. And then I'm also going to reattach this just so that you guys have it again. This whole document is available in your original book report posting where you're accessing your slideshows. So again, this post will be up right underneath. This will be the original book report, so you will be able to find everything there as well. Okay, for slide number 9, we are doing our book recommendation and rating. Who would you recommend this book to, and what rating would you give this book from 1 being low to 5 being high? Would all students like this book, or just your grade and up? Would boys and girls like it? Only students who like sports, action, fairy tales, etc.? Describe who would like this book and why. Then give the book a rating from 1 to 5 and tell us why. We are not doing slide 10, so we can just ignore that. Your things to remember. You will be graded on proper spelling, grammar, and writing conventions, as well as following the directions. Please check these directions frequently as you finish each slide to make sure you have followed all of the directions. You should use transitions between each of your slides for a more finished project. You can change the font color and size of the words, but please make sure all of your words can be read easily. If you are not sure about something, you have plenty of time to ask. Don't wait until the last minute. Late projects will lose points, so plan ahead. Projects are due today by the end of the day. If you turn it in to me tomorrow, you'll lose points. Here is a copy of the rubric for your information as you create your project. So the whole thing's at a 50. So if you see a 50 as your grade on your slideshow, that means you got 100. Title slide includes the title, author, and picture. That is worth 3 points. Setting is at least 2 sentences describing one setting well and includes a picture. That is worth 5 points. Your characters 1 through 8. This includes your important characters and traits, and that is worth 5 points each. So slide 3 is worth 5 points, and slide 4 is worth 5 points. Your summary. So summary 1, 2, and 3. So slides 5, 6, and 7. Important events in the beginning of the story described in paragraph form includes picture. For the middle, important events in the middle of the story described in paragraph form also includes a picture. And for the end, important events in the end of the story described in paragraph form and includes a picture. Each of these slides, so slide 5 is worth 4 points, slide 6 is worth 4 points, and slide 7 is worth 4 points. Okay, slide 8. Author's message explained as well as why. So that means you're saying, I think the theme of Because of Mr. Terept is blank because blank, blank, blank. You also need to have that picture included. This slide 8, is worth 4 points. So the slide we are working on today, slide 9, recommendation and rating. Who you recommended this book to and why is explained, as well as why you gave it the rating you did. That is worth 4 points. So you need to say, I would recommend this book to blank because, and I would rate this book blank because. If you do not have all of that information, you will not receive the full 4 points. Your conventions, overall paragraph format, spelling, grammar, and sentence structure, etc. is all 7 points. And your effort and creativity, you followed all of the directions and put effort into the project, and your project was on time. 5 points. Now, today you're going to finish slide 9, so the slide up here, and then you're going to spend your time going through each slide and checking back with the instructions to make sure you have everything. So we together are going to work on my slide 9 for no talking, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to go back and forth and make sure I have everything that I need. So I'm going to pop over here. I already have slide 9 ready to go, and I have titled it Book Recommendation and Rating, and I have put the title in the center as I have for every other slide. Okay, here's what I have. No Talking is a book that I would continue to recommend to my 5th grade students. 5th graders can relate to Dave Packer and Lindsay Burgess and all students despite what they like to do. 5th graders can relate to Dave Packer and Lindsay Burgess, and all students, despite what they like to do, will like this book. They will like this book because it will allow them to come up with strategies for the no talking contest, and they can make predictions about who will win. I would give this book a 5-star rating because the book displays how a boys versus girls contest turns into the teams uniting in the end. So I don't need a picture for this slide, but I still want to work on the design of it. So slide, change background. Okay, let's pick some color. We're going to stick with the gradient. Actually, I think I'm going to pick one of these pastel colors. I'm going to go with this one. Okay. Then I'm also going to continue with highlighting my text just because I like the way that it looks. And then maybe I'll play around with the font. I think I'm just going to go with this one. I like this one a lot. Okay. All right, now my slide 9 is complete. So now I'm going to go back up to the start of my slideshow. So here's my title slide, and I'm just going to hover back and forth between these tabs so that I can make sure I have everything. So title slide, I need to make sure I have the title, the author, and a picture of the cover of the book or a picture that represents the book. So if you remember, I decided to do both. You don't have to do both. You can do one or the other. So I have my title, the author, and a picture of the cover of the book and a picture that represents the book. Okay, slide 1 is done. Slide 2, I'm also going to go back and reread everything just to make sure it all makes sense. So my setting is at Laketon Elementary School. The setting takes place at Laketon Elementary School located in New Jersey. I know this is the main setting because the students were eating lunch and learning in their classrooms. This story takes place in the present because Dave was researching Gandhi on a computer for social studies class. Okay, so slide 2, setting, needs a written description of the setting of the book. We got that. This should be at least 2 sentences describing one main location of the book and what it looks like. We got that. You also need to include a background or a picture that helps show the setting. So I got that too. All right, slide 2 is looking good. All right, slides, if you remember, my slide 3 and 4 is a little bit different than yours because I have less characters. So I only could do 4 characters, whereas you guys did 8. So slide 3 and 4, they contain the same instructions, but slide 3 is characters 1 through 4. Slide 4 is characters 5 through 8. You should have 8 characters total, including Mr. Terupt, Jeffrey, Peter, Luke, Jessica, Danielle, Anna, and Alexia. Each character needs 3 sentences each describing them. So, write at least 3 sentences describing the characters in the story. Include their behavior and at least 1 character trait that describes the character. Lindsay Burgess is the leader for the girls in the no talking contest. She is competitive. In the story, Lindsay made the contest harder by saying less words and not talking at home. She is also competitive because she keeps track of all the words in her red notebook. So that was 3 sentences. I explained her behavior and I added competitive for her character trait. Dave Packer came up with the no talking contest because he was inspired by Gandhi while doing a social studies project. Dave is the leader for the boys in the contest. Dave is stubborn because he refuses to give up on the contest and even agrees when Lindsay ups the stakes by saying the loser would have a huge L on their forehead on the last day. More than 3 sentences, I described his behavior and I used the word stubborn for his character trait. Mrs. Hyatt is the principal at Laketon Elementary School. She is very stern because she uses a bullhorn to talk to the 5th grade students when they are being too loud. She is also stern because she demanded the no talking contest to end. 3 sentences, I used stern as her character trait and I described her behavior. And finally, Mr. Burton is a 5th grade language arts teacher who was intrigued by the contest. He was easygoing because he allowed the 5th grade students to continue their contest in his class while others tried to stop it. He was one of the only teachers who enjoyed the experiment and wanted to write a book about it. So, I explained his behavior. I have 1, 2, 3 sentences, and I used easygoing as his character trait. All right, slide 4, again, this is where you would have your last 4 characters. All right, slide 5. So for slides 5, 6, and 7, you have to write a paragraph that describes that part of the story. You are including only the important events, and you need to include a picture that relates to something that happens during this part of the story. So the beginning In the beginning of No Talking, Dave Packer is doing a report on Gandhi for his social studies class. While researching, he learns that Gandhi has one day of silence each week to calm his mind. Dave decides to try this and is successful for the first 4 hours of the day. At lunch, he becomes annoyed with Lindsay Burgess and he accuses her and all of the girls of being unable to keep quiet for 5 minutes. After an argument between Dave and Lindsay, they decided on the rules and the No Talking contest begins. So I have my paragraph. I'm explaining the important parts of what happened, and I have a picture to represent the No Talking contest. All right, the middle. As the contest begins, the students figure out ways to communicate without actually talking, although it is frustrating from time to time. Lindsay and Dave are both keeping track of any illegal words that are spoken. Mrs. Hyatt is shocked that the lunchroom is so quiet and she doesn't need her bullhorn, but she is not happy about the sudden silence. Some of the other teachers feel as though the contest is a disruption to learning, but Mr. Burton feels as though it is a great idea. Eventually, Mrs. Hyatt realizes that Lindsay and Dave are the two pack leaders, and she tries to insist that the contest be stopped. And I used a bullhorn for my picture to represent the bullhorn that she usually carries with her. Okay, and for the end. As the contest went on and No Talking, Mrs. Hyatt eventually started to come around. Dave went to apologize to Mrs. Hyatt for the way he spoke to her, and he showed her how she could participate in the contest as well. She then decided to make this a school-wide contest to see which grade level would win. Kindergarten was eliminated almost immediately. The contest between the girls and boys came to an end after Lindsay made a speech that consisted of 27 words. Dave and Lindsay came out of the contest with a better understanding and appreciation of each other, and then I have my picture to represent that the boys and girls are friendlier towards each other. All right, so let's look at slide 8. My summary slides are good to go. Slide 8, theme. What is the message that the author is trying to teach through this book? Explain the theme and why you think so. Include a picture that relates to the theme. Okay, let's check. Theme. I think the theme of No Talking is teamwork. Both the boys and girls had to work together as a team to try and beat the other in the contest. However, towards the end, Lindsay becomes a team player to help Dave out, which causes them to be friendlier towards each other. So I included what I think the theme is, and then I also included why and how I think the theme is. So I used an example from the book to support why I think the theme is teamwork. And then I also included this picture of 4 people putting their puzzle pieces together. And then slide 9. Who would you recommend this book to, and what rating would you give this book from 1 being low to 5 being high? Would all students like this book or just your grade and up? And would boys and girls like it? Only students who like sports, actions, fairy tales, etc. Describe who would like this book and why, and then give the book a rating from 1 to 5 and tell us why. You guys know we just did this together and we did all of that, so my slideshow is good to go. When yours is done, you don't really have to worry about putting your name on this title slide because up here, so for example, this is what it's going to look like on my end. It'll have your name here and then it'll say book report or whatever that original post is titled. So you don't have to worry about that. I can tell whose is who. But up here, there's that turn in button. You are going to hit turn in and you are done with your book report. So congratulations. My homeroom, I will see you at 10 o'clock for Hangouts. Mr. Cicconi's homeroom, 10:30. Let me know if you have any questions before then. Bye, guys.